And from 1907, when it was a leisure space for employees who worked at a 40-acre industrial complex when the company was headquartered in Lawndale, to 2023, when North Lawndale residents began planting new plots for a garden. This space in North Lawndale has seen so much history, and the restoration project continues with the help of a few good friends. I want to bring in Carolyn O'Boyle with Friends of Sears Sunken Garden. She is a board member. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Tell me about this Sears Sunken Garden. Like, if I've never heard of it before, how would you describe it?
Well, it's in the middle of the North Lawndale neighborhood in the city of Chicago, and it once served the employees of Sears, which, as many Chicagoans know, was a major retailer for the city of Chicago. And the founder of Sears, a gentleman named Julius Rosenwald, thought it was really important for his employees to have access to the outdoors during their workday. So he created this magnificent garden, which is just under 2 acres, to serve the employees who worked there. And then over the years, it became a really cherished destination in North Lawndale, and generations of people living there would go to take their wedding photos there or their graduation photos and celebrate milestones in their lives in that garden. But unfortunately, in the 70s and 80s, the garden fell into disrepair, and the citizens of North Lawndale thought, well, we really want to bring this back to its former glory, and so that's when the work got underway.
And I think it's such a wonderful project for a community anchor. So you have this historic landmark restoration or renovation happening now. What's it fueled by? How is it being funded?
Well, first I'll say what's it fueled by. In 2018, the North Lawndale community created a quality of life plan that called for sort of reclamation of the open spaces in the community to really serve as anchor amenities for folks. I think that parks and open space are really sort of the glue that holds any community together. They serve as gathering places, they help with the environment, they help with health. So the residents of North Lawndale really got behind this project. The current restoration is being funded largely with funding that came from the Driehaus Foundation, who provided a gift of $1 million to restore the pergola. And the Trust for Public Land, which is the organization I also work for, provided some seed funding that helped to get the design work done. And we're seeking funding now to complete the restoration.
I appreciate your humility. She is the Illinois State Director for Trust of Public Land. Tell me about the phases of this project.
So the first phase is getting the pergola restored, and that is, the pergola is a large architectural feature that anchors the garden, and that is going to get a facelift. It's going to get new paint, new rafters. Some of the roof tiles that have been damaged will be replaced. We're also going to get new lighting, a new electricity grid, and so it will really sort of literally light up the block when it's done, that phase of it. The second phase is really installing the garden, and one of the things that we're really proud of with this project is that when it's done, it's going to look like a garden and people will use it as a garden, but it's really going to be so much more than that, because during the second phase, we're going to excavate the entire site and install underground storage for stormwater. So it's going to help to retain stormwater during large rain events. We're going to create all new pathways through the garden to make it ADA accessible. It's a sunken garden, and it was built during an era when people weren't as cognizant of making sure that our public spaces are accessible to everyone. So there's some stairs that are required to get down into the garden or up onto the pergola. The new pathways will allow anybody to get into the garden and up to the pergola. So during the second phase, the pathways, the underground stormwater storage, then all of the lighting and fencing and seating. We're going to have a water feature. But really, the pièce de résistance is going to be the garden itself. And we're going to install thousands and thousands and thousands of new plants, perennials, shade trees, ornamental trees, shrubs, etc. And the design we have was created by Pete Udolph. And everybody who's a garden aficionado will know who Pete Udolph is, but if you don't, he's the world-renowned garden designer who designed the Lurie Garden in Millennium Park and also did the design for the High Line in New York. And so for the community of North Lawndale to have a person of this stature design the garden is a real coup for the neighborhood. And it's really been a two-way street where the community residents are learning about what a Pete Udolph designed garden will bring, but Pete Udolph is also learning from the community about what their needs and desires are for the garden. So it's been really an interesting exercise for everybody.
Yeah, I'm so glad you started to talk about the people who live in North Lawndale because when you talk about different areas in Chicagoland that have been disinvested or some people would even say forgotten from the standpoint of things that are beautiful, North Lawndale would be up on that list pretty high. And so what is the feedback that you've been getting from people who live there? I've done stories in North Lawndale. I know there is a heart for beauty in North Lawndale, but what is the feedback that you've been getting from people as you've been trying to bring that there?
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that there's a heart for beauty everywhere, and that it's sort of our sort of collective will to manifest it in every place that exists. And so during the time that I've been working directly with the residents of North Lawndale, we've just gotten overwhelmingly positive reinforcement for this work, because I think everybody wants where they live to be a place of beauty, a place of respite, a place where you can sort of unplug from your day-to-day life and just, take in the sights and smells of and sounds that a beautiful garden can provide. And so we really started working on this during the pandemic days. Mm-hmm. And so we had a series of online courses where we talked a little bit about some, garden design principles, but more than that, we asked people to tell us what they wanted to see in their garden. And so, for example, one of the things we heard was some of the color schemes that they were really interested in. And so we were able to communicate that to Pete Udolph. They also wanted to represent the African culture. And so Pete has included some plants that originate in Africa into the design. So I think people understand that these kinds of public spaces really can form the glue that pulls the community together, and have really turned out to support the effort and to share their concerns. I mean, what's unique about this Sears Sunken Garden is that it is not a Chicago Park District site. So it's held by the Foundation for Home and Square. So neighbors are concerned about how the site will be managed and what the safety measures will be. And so it really takes a lot of listening to make sure that we get all of those details right.
Sure, that's super important. How long do you anticipate all of this taking?
Well, we think the pergola restoration will be complete by the spring of 2026. And then once we secure the additional funding we need for the garden, we imagine it'll take another 18 months or so after that.